everyone, I hope that you are well. My name is Christianne and welcome to my channel Backpacking Bananas. So last year at age 30, I achieved one of the biggest milestones in my life so far. I bought my own place, my first home in London. It was something I had dreamed about for years. But fast forward about a year and a half and I've given it up because last week I moved to Australia. And on paper, I know that sounds crazy. Why would anyone leave behind their dream flat, independence, and a stable, self-employed lifestyle in London? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to explain today, because while it may seem like it's a backward step for most, for me, it makes total sense. To understand this decision fully, we need to rewind. Up until I was 30 years old, I lived with my parents. Not because I couldn't move out, but because I was hardly ever home. From 18, after finishing sixth form, I decided against university. I didn't like the system, it was expensive, and to be honest, all I wanted to do at the time was travel and make videos. So I worked evenings and weekends, I saved up, I started this YouTube channel, and I went backpacking, and for years it was a cycle. Travel, come home, do temporary jobs, save up, travel again. In 2015, I did my first working holiday visa in Australia. It was an amazing opportunity where I was going to be able to travel, work whilst I was traveling, continue making YouTube videos, but I didn't plan it properly and I got messed around by immigration rules at the time, which meant that I was unable to complete my 88 days farm work against my will. That's a long story we're not getting into in this video, but it meant that at the time I was never going to be able to work in Australia ever again. Brutal. But I wasn't ready to come back to the UK just yet. So in 2016, I headed to New Zealand on a working holiday visa. I moved straight to Queenstown and I lived and worked there for a year. And then in 2017, I came back to the UK and that's when YouTube started really popping off for me. At first, I did freelance video production work on the side to supplement my income. But by 2018, I was making enough online to go full-time. And from then, and well, all throughout my 20s, I have mostly traveled, which is why I have never had my own place. I've never even rented somewhere with housemates. It just didn't make sense when I was constantly away. But I always had this goal in my head to buy my own property, somewhere that I could call my own, but then I could Airbnb it out whenever I traveled. And for years I debated about where I wanted to buy. Woking, where I grew up, Guildford, close to Woking, but nicer. Hayes or Windsor, somewhere super close to Heathrow Airport. But eventually, London won. Even though I knew that I wouldn't be able to get somewhere even half the size that I would outside of London. And it's not because I dreamed of a big city life, but because it was practical. I wanted easy access to all of the London airports and good transport links, and keeping in mind somewhere that I would be able to easily rent out on Airbnb every time I travel. So then it was a case of, okay, well, where in London? And actually, it was a run that I did with my friend Andy through Victoria Park in 2021 that sealed the deal. I realised that if I lived in that area, I would be able to get to every single London airport with public transport in under 75 minutes. I could get to central London in 20 minutes, I could get to Canary Wharf in 15 minutes. Plus, although that particular area wasn't happening per se, it was beautiful. There were so many green parks, endless canals, and in my opinion, just a good vibe. And it was in that moment where I was like, this is where I want to live. So in 2021, I was beginning to look on Rightmove in that area, and the first flat that I liked came up. And it was cheap for London, but it was quite rough around the edges. It was in a mostly council-owned building, but like so many of the buildings in London. But I didn't stand a chance because I just wasn't mortgage ready. And then interest rates spiked massively. So my whole search was just put on hold. Then a couple of years later, 2023, I was feeling financially stronger than ever, and so I thought, maybe I can start looking again. Being self-employed can be risky, but there's also no cap on what you can earn, and it was my best year yet. And literally days before I was heading out to Pakistan for a month, I saw a property that came on the market that just ticked every single one of my boxes. It had the perfect layout, the perfect location, and it was just the kind of place which you just have a gut instinct about. I knew I had to view it, and I even brought my dad along with me because I was like, I know I'm not going to be asking the right questions, but I really need this place. And I loved it. And then from Pakistan itself, that's where I made an offer, I negotiated, and I secured the flat for 40k under the asking price. So offer was accepted in August 2023. Of course, with all UK house sales, then came the nightmare solicitor. Mine was fine, but the seller's solicitor was useless. Slow, unresponsive, dragging things out. So completion didn't happen until March 2024. 8 months it took. But the silver lining is that the mortgage rates in those 8 months had actually dropped. So I locked in a much cheaper rate, which was great. Anyway, when I finally got the keys, I expected to feel nothing but joy. And I did, but also a wave of overwhelm. The day after I moved in, I woke up in my empty flat and I just sobbed. I don't even know why I'm crying. Proud of myself, yes, but also staring at piles of boxes, flat pack furniture, and I guess the reality of building a home all alone. I had always pictured a home being shared with family, someone to laugh while putting the shelves up, but instead it was just me. So I threw a paint and Prosecco housewarming, except the thing that my incredible friends were painting was literally my flat. But most of my friends live pretty far away, so it was so fun, but I knew this wasn't going to be a regular thing. I made sure I set up the place super smartly, because whenever I was going to travel, I was going to lock all of my personal things away into the spare bedroom so that I could rent it out as a one-bedroom on Airbnb. I built my entire wardrobe into the spare bedroom, which lived there permanently, kept my desk in there. I made so much storage space within the built-in wardrobe so that I can just keep all of my things in there. And then I had a management company handle everything. The cleaning, the guests, the maintenance, it was perfect. But let's talk about the real issue, my actual life when I was in London. I thought buying a home in London would make me more settled. I told myself I'll travel less, focus on routine, get on top of my admin, maybe even find a partner. But the reality didn't really play out like that. I wanted to meet new friends, new local friends, maybe find the one. But how? I work from home, so no colleagues. I'm not big on going to bars every weekend, not anymore. I hate dating apps. I haven't been on one since 2014. And although almost all of my friends have met their partners on dating apps, it is just not for me. I went to clubs, was a member of Soho House, I went to gymnastics classes, I went to gym classes. My one regret is not joining a run club, but still, I did try putting myself out there to hopefully naturally make some new friends. I also went to work conferences, I obviously meet people traveling all the time, but those friends naturally are scattered across the world. Not people I could just text on a Saturday morning asking if they wanted to go for a walk and a coffee. And on the dating front, it didn't help that there was a certain handsome man in New Zealand who I was talking to on the phone every week. It wasn't official, I was technically still single, but it definitely affected my openness to meeting someone new. So in short, I wasn't exactly lonely, but I wasn't building the close-knit day-to-day community that I was craving either. Here's the thing, on paper, I had it all. I was my own boss, making my own income with total freedom. I had a beautiful 2-bedroom apartment in Zone 2 London with a big balcony overlooking the canal. I could decorate how I wanted, eat what I wanted, go out when I wanted. I didn't have to think of anyone else. I was completely on my own terms. I could travel whenever I liked, and my flat would basically pay for itself from Airbnb whilst I was gone. And every time I came back, it was professionally clean. It was the life I thought I wanted, and yet I felt stagnant, like I wasn't progressing. I felt like I wasn't truly at peace. And it was hard not to notice how much I enjoyed spending time back at my parents' house where I grew up, so much to the point where I was almost dread going back home to London. Maybe not dread, but I wasn't as excited about it as I feel like I should have been. Deep down, I knew I wanted more. Love, family, a partner, and sadly, my life in London wasn't bringing me any closer to that. And when you realize that you are both unsettled and not progressing, you know something needs to change. But what? Now, hopping back to a year or two prior, there came the news. Australia had changed its working holiday visa rules. No more 88 days of farm work, the age limit had extended to 35, and now you could do 3 years instead of just 2. And when I first had that, I thought that is great for other people. It doesn't apply to me, I can work online, I can visit whenever on a tourist visa, but the idea stuck. Because what I've learned over the years is that Australia isn't just another destination for me, it's the only country outside of the UK that truly can feel like home. When I leave most countries when I'm traveling, I'm always ready to get back to my home comforts. But not Australia. Leaving here always makes me very sad, actually, and I never want to leave. There's nothing really that I crave about the UK when I'm in Australia. I'm literally trying to think if there's one thing, and if I have to say something, maybe Percy Pigs from M&S, but that's about it. So in 2024, I think it was when I was actually traveling in the Netherlands with one of my best friends, Karen, I was like, what if I actually take this opportunity? What if I do another working holiday visa in Australia, 10 years on from the first, perhaps get an actual job with colleagues? A temporary one though, let's not dive in too fast. I had 4 years left before aging out. No kids, no ties, and if I didn't try now, maybe I would always wonder, what if? And if there's one thing about me, there is no way I'm leaving something as a what if. So I decided that I was going to move. After my big group trips though, in the last year I've had Mauritania, Thailand and Pakistan. So September 2025 became the plan. Now, when I told that handsome Kiwi guy on the phone that I was planning to move to Sydney, he said, well, if you move there, I'll just move there too. He was searching for a new permanent job at the time and he was quite open to locations. Well, he ended up finding a job in Perth instead, where my sister lives, which has made things pretty convenient. So fast forward, that Kiwi is now my boyfriend. My sister's actually in the UK at the moment, so I am house sitting her place, looking after Bailey the dog. Soon I plan to move out and get housemates. Housemates? I've never had housemates before. And maybe even a job with actual colleagues. Can you believe it? And eventually my boyfriend and I will move in together, but not too soon. We want to take things slowly. And the difference is, for the first time in ages, I feel excited and like I'm moving forward again instead of standing still. I do still own my London flat. It's now just rented long term, so I haven't lost that stability, thank God. But to be honest, leaving London wasn't actually anything to do with property. It was about realizing that the dream life wasn't actually my dream. I would much rather keep changing my mind, keep trying new things, keep chasing fulfillment, than stay stuck in something that looks perfect from the outside but feels a bit empty on the inside. So that's why I left, and that's why I'm in Australia. And maybe it won't be forever, maybe it will. Maybe I'll pivot again, but right now, I'm happy. Thank you so much for watching. If this resonated with any of you, do let me know in the comments. And stay tuned, because so many Australia vlogs are coming your way. Bye bye.